What's up, my dudes? When playing on CT side, you have to do two things for your team. For one, you have to survive in order to keep your team present on the bomb sites, but you also have to give your team information. I've already talked about surviving on CT side and the importance of staying alive in general, but I've never really talked about getting information, and that's something that a lot of people struggle with. So in this context, the concept of something I call controlled CT aggression comes into play. Let's first define controlled aggression. Controlled aggression is not pushing mid right away or jumping up apartments when you know there's a lot of terrorists in there. Controlled aggression does not mean you go for kills, it means you go for information. Controlled aggression is a gamble. You risk getting killed and not being traded back, but you can win the round for your team if you spot the enemy team moving early or if you spot the bomb carrier. Not going more aggressive can sometimes be an even greater gamble, because if your team has little information, by not risking your life, you risk getting overwhelmed on a side suddenly because your team didn't know what was going on in the round. The concept of controlled aggression is, if you don't have information about what's going on in the round, go more aggressive. If you do have information, or if your team has information, try to survive and communicate with your team. So let's first talk about holding sites early round. When holding sites early round, you have to hold them in a way that maximizes the information you can get, but minimizes the risk of you getting killed. B side on Sandstorm is a very good example for this. You shouldn't be playing on site super passively early round. You should not just stay up here and jiggle this here right away if you have the time to go on site, because if you play from up here and you get smoked off, there's absolutely no way you can deny bomb plant without pushing a smoke, and pushing a smoke, as most people know, is always risky. You should also not play in archers right away, because you, like this, you have no idea what's going on B long, so 5 people could be sneaking up there, and since you mostly have player tunnels and not a second player B, your team has no idea if anyone could be rushing B, and if they do, you most likely have no time to react, you get overwhelmed, and your teammates have to retake the side, which is not an ideal situation. So what you want to do instead is something like jump spotting here. This way you are not very likely to get killed, because you're hard to hit and your head only shows above the boxes for a few moments, but you have full sight across B long and inside nest. So your team has a lot of info regarding someone pushing B long, and also if your tunnels players holds door room, then you can almost be certain that B is not going to fall right away. So if you did jump spot for a while and you didn't get any information, and your team in general didn't get a lot of information, you can try to go more aggressive. So before you actually go aggressive, you have to make sure that your team is ready to rotate towards B in case you get picked off close to the site when you are trying to leave it and go more aggressive. So if you have a team ready to rotate towards B and to replace you, you can let your tunnels player give you the go by clearing out tunnels. So if nobody's playing on tunnels, you have the go to go more aggressive. You can flash yourself towards market, something like this, and then peek these areas and clear sniper nest. And if you arrive here, you've already done a great job, because now you know what is going on in the whole area. You have sight towards garden and towards the CT spawn area, so every way that the T's, if they are pressuring A right now, could rotate over back to B. So if someone can also confirm that mid is clear, your whole team knows exactly where the terrorists are and what they are most likely going to do. And if you get spotted so far from the side and maybe even get a pick and can tell your team where the bomb carrier is, you have already done your job. If the T's try to rotate back towards B, and you get traded out so far from the side, your team hasn't lost anything, because your team now has a lot of time to rotate over towards B before the terrorists actually arrive at B. So this way you make sure that the B side is not suddenly getting overwhelmed, and now if you don't spot anything, your team can just solely focus on the other bomb site. So if you make it towards here, for example, you may even be able to get a bit more aggressive and sneak your way towards here, towards the back or something. That means that the rest of your team can solely focus on holding A and stack A. And from here you can even sneak up further and try to get 1 or 2 picks. Don't be too aggressive though, if the T's aren't on site already. And if you get killed here, then your team can just rotate 1 back and maybe rotate 1 towards nest again to replace you. So in this way you have made a lot of map control. And again, if you get killed so far from the bomb site you were supposed to hold, that means your team has the info incredibly early and can rotate accordingly. So to repeat, rule number 1 is, if you're going aggressive as a CT, you should always go for info, not for kills. The worst thing that you can do is just throw your life away by going super aggressive and leaving a bomb site completely open without any teammates near to rotate and replace you. And rule number 2, if you do not have information, go more aggressive, and if you do have information, play more passively, try to survive and communicate with your team. That's it for today. I'm gonna try to make shorter guides in the future and remake the extremely long ones, like my pistol guide video that I might be able to shorten heavily, and also my peeking guide that I might be able to crop to 5 minutes or something. And also my man Destroyer offered his help for my videos, so some of them might actually have thumbnails in the future. Yeah boy. Anyway, peace out.